When I launched Swiss Impact Store, I thought I knew exactly who my customers would be. I imagined eco-activists, the women posting about climate change, protests and fast fashion, sharing every new sustainability statistics on Instagram. I thought these are my people. They'll be the first to support me. But there is the irony. They've never been my customers. In fact, that group, the one you'd expect to be most excited about ethical fashion, they almost never buy from me. And for a while, that really confused me. I kept asking myself, why is it the people who talk the loudest about sustainability are the ones least likely to put it into practice when it comes to their own closet? That question is what sparked today's video. I want to break down who actually buys from me and, more importantly, why. The reality is my customers don't look like the stereotype at all. They are women like me, women who plan their purchases, who choose fewer but better things, who aren't obsessed with logos or hauls, but with building a closet that reflects their worth. And honestly, that says something much bigger about sustainability, about self-worth, and about the future of fashion than I ever expected. So let's dive into it. When I first started building Swiss Impact Store, I thought the perfect customer was obvious. She was the one holding protest sign against Shein. She was reposting climate change stats on Instagram stories. She was boycotting Zara, tagging H&M in angry posts, calling out greenwashing in the comment section. And in theory, she should have been my dream client. She cared about the planet, she was vocal about fast fashion, she said all the right things. But here's what I learned. Talking about sustainability and living it are two very different things. Because when it came time to shop, to actually choose between a $29 fast fashion dress or a $120 ethical made piece, that same woman rarely put her money where her mouth was. And I don't say this with judgment, I actually understand it. For many activists, it's about ideology, purity, the principle of consume nothing. For them, buying anything at all feels like compromise, or maybe they want to avoid being called hypocrites if they get caught shopping. If nobody buys from ethical brands, those brands don't survive. And if those brands don't survive, then fast fashion keeps winning. So the stereotype of the perfect customers, the eco-activist, the climate protester, it didn't line up with reality. They weren't the ones filling their closets with ethical pieces. And that was my first big surprise. The women who actually buy from me look nothing like that stereotype. And that's where this story gets interesting. So if the stereotype isn't true, then who actually buys from me? My customers are women like me. Women who are intentional, not impulsive. Women who think about how every piece will fit into their life before they hit buy. They don't come to me with a shopping cart full of holes. They come with one or two things they've been planning for weeks, something they will wear again and again. These women aren't chasing trends. They're not buying because TikTok told them to. They buy because they want clothes that work, clothes that match their body, their colors, their lifestyle. And here's the biggest difference. They don't buy to impress other people. They buy to respect themselves. They figured out something important. Style isn't shallow. Style is tied to how you feel, how you show up at work, how you walk into a meeting, how you connect in relationships. The women who shop with me understand that. They don't see clothes as just fabric. They see them as tools for confidence, for presence, and for identity. They would rather invest in one high-quality item that lasts and that feels aligned than keep throwing money at fast fashion trying to fill a void that never gets filled. So when people ask me who's your customer, it's not the eco-activist stereotype. It's the woman who knows her worth, the woman who wants her closet to reflect that worth, and that's a completely different kind of sustainability. When I first noticed this pattern, I honestly couldn't believe it. Here I was building a sustainable marketplace thinking my natural supporters would be the activists, the women who were already talking loudly about climate change, about fast fashion, about greenwashing. But when it came time to actually support ethical brands, to put money behind the message, they weren't the ones showing up. At first, I blamed myself. I thought maybe I'm not speaking their language, maybe my marketing is off, maybe I need to post more about carbon footprints and supply chain audits. But then I started having conversations. I get DMs from activists and what they'd say was something like, I love what you're doing, but I don't buy new clothes, I only thrift. Buying ethical is still buying, so I can't support your marketplace. And that's when it clicked. It wasn't me, it wasn't the brands, it was the mindset. For them, buying anything new felt wrong. They wanted purity, zero consumption, and while I respect that, it also made me realize that's not realistic for most people. Most women can't or don't want to live a life where they never buy new stuff again. Meanwhile, the women who were actually buying from me weren't the loud ones. They weren't protesting or lecturing anyone. They were just living their lives, but living them intentionally. They weren't trying to be perfect, they were trying to be better. And that difference really surprised me. It showed me that sustainability does not always look like like you expect. It's not always the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes it's the quiet, consistent choices that nobody posts about. And that's when I started to shift my perspective on who I was really serving. The more I observed my real customers, the clearer it became. They were not just buying clothes, they were buying alignment. These women care about style, but not in the superficial sense. For them, getting dressed isn't about trends or logos or looking like someone else on Instagram. It's about showing up as the woman they want to be. They've understood something a lot of people miss. How you look impacts how you feel, and how you feel shapes how you show up in every part of your life. Think about it. When you put on something that fits you well, that feels like you carry yourself differently. You speak with more clarity. You negotiate with more confidence. You walk into a room without apologizing for taking up space. That's what my customers value. They see style as an extension of self-respect. It's not about vanity, it's about presence. It's about sending themselves the message. I'm worth being taken seriously. I'm worth feeling good in my own skin. I'm worth showing up for. And that's why they choose ethical brands. Because when you already value yourself, you don't want to cover your body in polyester made in exploitative conditions. You want your closet to reflect the same respect you have for yourself. That's also why they buy less. They'd rather invest in one piece they love than fill their wardrobe with impulse buys they will regret later. Because they are not trying to fill a void, they are building an identity. What my real customers value is not stuff, it's confidence, alignment. It's a closet that matches who they are and where they're going. That's a completely different conversation about sustainability than the one we usually hear online. The contrast between who I thought would buy and who actually does comes down to psychology. Let's start with the activists, the one who never buy. Their mindset is about purity. For them, consuming anything feels like failure. They talk about circularity, minimalism, zero waste. They are afraid of being called hypocrites if they buy something new, even if it's ethical, so they avoid it altogether. And again, I don't say this with judgment, that's their truth. But it creates a paralysis, because if no one buys from ethical brands, those brands don't survive. If ethical brands don't survive, then fast fashion keeps winning. So in chasing purity, they accidentally support the system they are fighting against. Let's look at my customers. The intentional women. Their mindset is about balance. They know they're going to shop. They know they're going to refresh their wardrobe once in a while. But instead of doing it impulsively, they do it strategically. They buy less but better. They choose items that fit their body, their energy, their lifestyle. They invest because they see themselves as worth investing in. Activists are focused on avoiding guilt. My customers are focused on building identity, and that's a big difference. One group is stuck in fear of doing it wrong, the other is moving forward with clarity even if it's imperfect. And when you zoom out, you realize something important. The ones making quiet, intentional choices are actually creating more impact than the ones shouting from the rooftops. Change does not happen from guilt alone. It happens when people start living differently, day after day, choice after choice. What all of this taught me is that sustainability is not about extremes. It's not about never buying again. It's not about guilt-tripping people into feeling bad for wanting clothes that fit their body or reflect their personality. And it's definitely not about waiting until you're perfect to make better choices. Real sustainability is about alignment. It's about aligning what you buy with who you are. It's about aligning your closet with the woman you are becoming instead of chasing every trend or clinging to things that don't fit your life anymore. Not the loudest voices in the room that create change. It's the quiet, consistent choices people make every day. The woman who decides to buy one blazer she loves instead of 5 fast fashion jackets she'll hate in 2 months. The woman who chooses organic cotton over polyester because she cares about her skin as much as the planet. The woman who invests in ethical brands because she values herself too much to wear exploitation. That's sustainability. Not deprivation, not purity, not shame. Alignment. And that's why my customers are the way they are. They are not trying to prove something online. They're not waiting for the perfect moment. They are just living their values quietly, consistently, and intentionally. And when I think about the future of fashion, I believe that's where the real power lies. Not in boycotts or hashtags, but in women choosing better for themselves and for the world around them. So here's what I want you to take away from this. The one group that never buys from me, the activists, the loud voices, they taught me something valuable. People don't always live what they preach, and that's fine, that's their path. But it showed me that sustainability isn't built on shouting louder. It's built on living differently, quietly, consistently. And the women who do buy from me, they are proof of that. They are not chasing perfection. They are not waiting for permission. They are not trying to be saints. They are women who know their worth, who make thoughtful choices, and who want their closet to reflect the respect they already have for themselves. They understand that style isn't shallow, it's self-expression. It's confidence, it's the energy you carry into the room, and when you value yourself, you want your closet to match that energy. And that's why they invest in ethical pieces, one at a time, not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but because they know they are worth it. So when people ask me who is your real customers, I always say my customers aren't eco-activists, my customers are women who know their worth. Maybe that's you too. In the end, the women who change the game aren't the ones shouting about it, they are the ones living it.